Thanks for tuning in to Monday Morning Musings. Yes, yes, I know it's not Monday morning, but for me it feels like a Monday. And I apologize for not putting anything out there last week. I was delightfully detached and in another country enjoying some quality vitamin D time. So I apologize. I meant to do a Monday morning musing, but it just never materialized. But because I was in Cancun and I was enjoying the beautiful Caribbean Sea and the humidity and the warm temperatures and everything that goes along with being in the Caribbean, I thought of my topic for this week, and it's something I've had people ask me about. So, what do you do when you're a moldy and you have to travel? And by have to travel, I mean our souls want to wander, right? We don't want to stay in the same spot where we plant ourselves. We want to go, we want to explore, we want to see new places. But as a moldy, especially as a newly recovering moldy, it gets scary when you want to travel because there are so many things that are fraught with worsening of your condition. The first is obviously airplane travel. As many of you moldies know, anytime you go on an airplane, it's going to precipitate inflammatory agents in your body. So I do have a lot of pilots as patients because let's be honest, they go up and down all of the time, right? So going up to an altitude and then coming back down really brings out inflammagens in the body. So flying's hard. Most of you moldies will tell me that. You know, you'll say the first time I had a flare was when I was going on a trip. Is there anything really to combat that? Really kind of my combating is pretty much the same for all things. Number one, make sure you have a binder that you like, that works well with your body. I never leave the house without cholestyramine. I never leave the house without charcoal. So those are the two that I bring, as well as magnesium. So obviously plane flight, that's going to be tricky because to get anywhere, a lot of my moldies will have RVs because either they bought them to live in them as they were healing, or they have them just because they know that it's going to be a safe place for them. It's going to have a clean bathroom. It's going to have a clean living space. It's going to have a place of safety for them. So some of my moldies will actually drive from place to place, but the majority of my people will fly. So you might notice a worsening of symptoms after a flight, and it might be a little bit greater than those in your family that aren't moldies. I mean, obviously everybody gets jet lag, but you might notice a little bit even more in terms of a flare of your chronic fatigue or a flare of your fibro symptoms or a flare of your brain fog. Very common. The next thing that my partner and I always notice, we like to go to Barcelo in Riviera Maya. It's one of our favorite places. We went for our anniversary. And the first time we went there, we actually noticed that, strangely enough, it was so moist in the room that the bedding felt wet, right? You're in the Caribbean. It's super hot. Actually, this time was even warmer because the last time we went was in January. We just got back now, right? 97 with 97% humidity. There's no air conditioner on the planet that can take out all of that humidity. Luckily, our room this time had a stronger air conditioning unit and it didn't feel moist in the room. But the first thing we noticed when we walked in was that smell of, people will call it mildew. Obviously, my mold dogs out there will know exactly what I'm talking about. You walk into that space and you're like, well, probably not safe. Unfortunately, it is what it is, right? We're going to the Caribbean. We knew that. Some things that I do that these aren't researched, these aren't proven, these aren't, this is just coming from my mold experience and what I've noticed that helps me. I travel with a little mini ozonator. I got it from Dr. Mercola. I plug that in when I get into my hotel room. And as all of you know, ozonated air is toxic for the lungs. So you don't want to breathe it. So usually what my partner and I will do, we'll drop our suitcases, we'll plug the ozonator in either in the bathroom or the main room, depending on how big the room is. We might have two, might have one in the bathroom, one in if it's like a suite, one in the main space. We'll let that run for an hour. We'll leave. We'll go check out the property, maybe grab a cocktail or grab a snack. Come back, unplug the ozonator. If the place is big enough that we can have it running, like in a back area while we're there, I do leave it on. It just depends on how big the room is. The other thing that I do travel with is the E3O candles. Obviously, I don't have any kind of kickback from either of these products. Dr. McCullough, sells the mini ozonator on his website. The E3O I get on Amazon. I usually travel with 2 of them, and this trip I actually burned through 2 of them. Obviously super moldy, super saturated. They recommend to burn it for at least an hour upon entering the room, and you can be present for that. So that can be once you get back to the hotel room after you've run the ozonator. So we did. We put both candles out, we lit them, we let them run for an hour, we went on another walk. We kept those running pretty much while we were in the room most of the time. So like I said, we went all the way through the 2 candles during the course of our trip. Like I said, the other things we make sure to do is I always travel with my bag nasal spray because I don't want to get recolonized. I always travel with cholestyramine. I always travel with another binder, whether it be charcoal, whether it be Corella, whatever my other binder of choice is. I try and get 1 dose a day in, and I keep that away from my supplements and I keep it away from my food. So that usually keeps me as well as I can be. Obviously on vacation, you're more rested. You don't have the stress of the work and all the other things, fights with your boss. So you naturally feel a little bit better, but obviously we want to do what we can to mitigate the inflammatory response of your body while you're away. I hope that helps. If you have any questions, drop them for me, or obviously schedule a consult. I'd love to see you. I'd love to help you achieve your maximum health. I hope you have a beautiful day and a magical week. See you next Monday.